Okay. We are recording the meeting. So now I'll go to Darren's agenda and I will say, welcome to the Darien Sewer Commission regular meeting agenda, Tuesday, April 7th, 2020 at 4:30 p.m. We are not in person. We are honoring our call to continue isolation and social distancing, and the meeting is being held by video conference only. The first item on the agenda is to call the meeting to order, which we are doing. And throughout the meeting agenda today, I am going to show a series of public service announcements about not flushing wipes down your toilet. The only thing that belongs in toilet is human waste and toilet paper. Wipes can cause a significant problem with clogging sewers because they do not break down, they ball up, they accumulate, and they clog either our pipes or our pump stations. And the one thing we don't need to be dealing with right now is a sewer overflow on anyone's street. Here is going to be public service announcement number one. Here we go.
Baby wipes and so-called flushable wipes are increasingly being flushed down toilets, but very often these wipes contribute to sewer and drain clogs. Unlike toilet paper, most wet wipes are made from non-woven materials that take a long time to disintegrate in water. In fact, many wipes are made from spun-lace plastic fibers that won't break down, even in agitated water, and that's a problem. In a world with perfect plumbing and infrastructure, wet wipes would glide right through. But in the real world of poorly maintained toilets, structurally deficient sewer pipes, and overworked treatment facilities, wet wipes can cause problems every step of the way. In older residential sewers, wipes get caught on misaligned pipe joints. As more wipes are flushed, they accumulate, catching waste until they clog the sewer. Wipes that make it to water treatment plants clog intake pumps, requiring costly fixes. Roto-Rooter recommends that homeowners dispose of wipes in a wastebasket until manufacturers develop wipes that can quickly dissolve in water.
All right. Stop that. Okay. All right. I should also say that if you see any advertisements, that the Sewer Commission is not endorsing any particular company or advertisement. All right. Item 2 on the agenda is approval of the Darien Sewer Commission regular meeting minutes of March 3rd, discussion and action.
Can I make a motion to table it since we haven't seen them?
Oh, did we not get them, Darren?
I emailed the entire package to all commissioners.
So if you check,
They're on there?
Yeah.
Okay.
You know
Someone
what?
missed it.
I may have deleted your first email when I got your second one. In fact, I did. Because you sent a second email with an updated agenda, and I assumed that that was everything, but it wasn't. So.
Sorry about that. The second email was at your request to give this meeting information, and I just concluded the first page.
Are you sitting at your desk? Can you send out the first packet again, at least to me, because I don't have it anymore.
Let me give that a try. Set.
I guess while you're doing that, I will say for any listening audience that although we have 3 folks dialed into the video conference, we have a number of other folks that are on phone only. That includes Reese Hutchison, Darren Osfine, and Ed Gentile.
And I think while we're waiting for this too, a thank you to everyone at Town Hall that's still putting in 24/7 out there is due. And Darren and Ed, thank you.
Very welcome.
Find it?
I did. Let me make sure that
If he doesn't have it,
No.
I can forward it to you now. I didn't even scroll down to see if the rest was
Yeah,
there.
okay. Yeah, well, forward it to me. That's fine.
no, that wasn't it. Let me see if this is it. Okay, found it. So, new. C dot
All right. I got it.
SR
I got it from Bob,
Reese.
so I'm all set.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm all set there, and I still have it.
You're all set. Bob has it too?
Yeah.
I had it, I just didn't scroll down. I don't know what I was thinking.
All right, let's take a look at the minutes.
So does anybody need it?
Not me.
No,
I think we're good now.
Everybody's good. Okay, I'm going to close this down. Thank you.
I didn't see anything.
I didn't see anything.
And I'm recused. I wasn't there. It's Reese.
All right, so Susan, you want to make a motion?
looks
Yes,
good to
I will
me.
make a motion to approve. I'll make a motion for the minutes.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right, that's 3-0 with one abstention. Minutes approved. So now I'm going to intersperse with another public service announcement. So this keeps occurring while it's playing on channel 79. Hopefully we
Okay,
get a few more
Reese was
eyeballs on
the
it.
abstention, correct?
Correct.
Yes.
Thank you.
So let's see, back to sharing the screen. Here's another 2-minute clip.
Flushing wet wipes. That's the message tonight from public works officials all across the metro area. While many stores are sold out of toilet paper, more and more people are buying flushable wipes. The problem, they're not really flushable. Jenny Young, live on this story tonight. Jenny, you found out flushing these wipes really can cause major problems for everyone.
It sure can, Jeff. And officials made the point tonight that, flushable wipes, they can sit on the shelves in your house for months. And then when you open them, they're still wet. They say that those wipes can sit in water for 5 years and still remain intact, unlike toilet paper that disintegrates. Wet wipes, baby wipes, flushable wipes, whatever you call them, public works officials say they're a nightmare for our sewage systems and should never be flushed down your toilet.
They are terrible for our treatment process.
Officials in Clackamas County sent us these pictures of employees cleaning out sewage pipes clogged with so-called flushable wipes. We found out flushable wipes are one of the most common causes of sewage overflows. They damage pump systems and other equipment used to treat the water system.
We can potentially have a situation where we create a clog in the sewer system, and flushable wipes create a clog that it backs up so much that it overflows a manhole onto the street, into somebody's yard.
Greg Irely with Clackamas Water Environment Services says the packaging on wipes can be misleading.
It'll flush down the toilet, but a toilet.
Right.
An American Standard Champion toilet will flush 16 golf balls.
Bottom line, don't flush anything but toilet paper.
If that's all you have to use, then that's what you have to use, but put it in the garbage.
Well, it's all we've had to use at my house because I haven't been able to find toilet paper, and we have to stop using them now that I learned all this. But tested by plumbers, look at that on this package that I brought from home. It even says that plumbers approve these, so you can see just how misleading it is. But bottom line, like you heard from officials, just do not do it. Save our sewage systems. Live tonight, downtown Portland, Jenny Young, KOIN 6 News.
Good advice.
So here we go. I found a lot of fun ones. We'll see 3 more.
I can attest to the wipes causing a problem.
You've been there personally. So the other thing that is happening, Darren, maybe you told me this. Apparently the city of Bridgeport is also coming up with problems with people flushing nitrile gloves, right? So all the surgical gloves that everybody's wearing now, they seem to be, that and the Clorox wipes, they're scared of them. They don't want them in the trash, so they're flushing them down the toilet, and that is also causing a problem. So the only thing that goes in the toilet is human waste and toilet paper. Which brings us to item number 3, which is there anything more proactive we can do to try to head off what could become a problem if too many people are putting too many wipes into the toilet? Should we send out a mailer now to everybody that's a ratepayer, reminding them not to do this?
I mean, I don't think it would hurt, without a doubt. Don't know how effective it would be, but it only needs to be, again, it's only the low-hanging fruit. If you get a few of the people to comply, it will greatly increase or decrease the probability of there being a blockage.
Craig, is there any chance we might ask Jamie Stevenson to include that in her Facebook post and or the telephone calls that go out?
That's actually a great idea. I like that idea.
It's more effective. People probably aren't checking their mail.
You're right. Mail ends up being junk mail. And if they get something they have to read, they're like, is it a bill? No, it's not. I'm going to throw it out. So even a couple of sentences at the end of one of her announcements would be very helpful, actually, because this could be a problem. And it is a problem for other municipalities right now. Darren, Ed, do you want to try to put some text together? Or do you want me to?
You want to put, I'm sorry, Craig, do you want to put what together?
The idea would be, Jamie has been sending out regular updates to the public. Some of these are just through social media channels or press releases, and occasionally, once a week, it seems that there's an ECN network phone call. And so the question is, can we tag on 2 sentences to either the phone call or one of her updates that this is a concern and people should be sure not to do it and cause, for fear of causing a greater problem than we need right now.
I think the best thing to do is, I like Reese's idea. I think you hit it on the head. Just let me, even unless you want to do it, I'm more than happy to talk to her tomorrow about including it in her next address to the town. She usually does it through the Code Red system.
Yep.
You'll get a phone call or an email, and you're more likely to look at those than, like you said, a piece of paper coming in the mail right now. That's not a bill.
I think it's a good idea. I think we should ask her to include it. So let me know what she says, and if you need any assistance drafting the 2 sentences or as short as we can make it, I'm here to help.
You got it. I'll talk to her as soon as I get her attention, either tonight or tomorrow.
Part of this is people go to the store and they can't find toilet paper, right? And so I'm trying to come up with ideas like, how do we make toilet paper available to people that literally have run out, and I would ask my neighbor, but my neighbor's on this phone call, so.
You could ask the paper if maybe the paper would like to run a story too, either Patch or the Times.
So we're already piggybacking on my ghostwriter over at the Sustainability Committee. Carolyn Bain is drafting
she's wonderful.
Letter to the editor now. I sent her all these public service announcements so she can get up to speed on the issue. So we'll do a letter to the editor as well. maybe we include with that, if you've got it, share it. I had kind of the harebrained idea, which I shared with Darren, like, should we source a pallet of toilet paper so we can, give 2 rolls out for free if someone needed it, right? I'd rather just give them the 2 rolls of toilet paper than deal with an overflow.
Palmer's has had toilet paper.
They have
Just
it?
so you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have had it. You can
Stop and
only
Shop is
take
out a
2.
lot.
I don't remember any, but they had it on the shelf. I don't know what brand it is. Some brand.
Doesn't matter.
Generic brand of toilet paper, but the last couple times I've been there, they've had some on the shelves.
Well, that's good. That's good information to get out there. Stop and Shop has not had it the last couple of times I walked through. I don't know about Whole Foods. I haven't been there.
I don't stand in a line to go to the grocery store.
Hey, Craig, there is some availability online too for the folks that do have that ability to order online, because my family and my relatives all been doing it through that method instead of trying to go to the store and, get lucky and find it on the shelves.
You can get it on Amazon still?
Yeah, that, or even Target or Walmart, they'll still deliver.
Okay.
Hey, Susan, you made a comment. Did Palmer have a restriction? Are you finding stores having a restriction on it? The number you can buy?
Yes, there's a restriction on how many you can buy. I don't know what it is. They had Clorox wipes last week. I bought one thing for my dad because he wanted one of Clorox wipes.
All right, so maybe we don't need to go through the effort of sourcing it. It seems to be out there. But the other issue is that, again, people cleaning with the Clorox wipes and deciding they're scared of them, they don't want them in the toilet, or they don't want them in the trash, so they're flushing them, right? So it's still an issue to get out there.
That's definitely.
This is a question for Darren and Ed. Is there anywhere in the system that has had issues with wipes before, specifically wipes, that maybe we could inspect those manholes and that line more often?
Reese, I think our problems, as I first got here and saw them experience it, were at the 2 major pump stations, and the pumps that they had in place there, the Aurora pumps, they were so old that they had to basically unclog them at least once a day.
Wow.
The main pumps, and they were pulling them out. But once we went to the newer pumps, the new flight pumps with the new impellers, we've been very fortunate. The guys have been checking them. They like in checking some of the critical areas, but we've been keeping an eye on our system as best we can. So it really wasn't the mains that were getting bogged down with these wipes. It was the pumps at our Stony Brook and Nearwater pump stations.
Yep. Thanks.
Okay, good.
Yep.
Are there any larger pumps that don't have the new impellers on them?
They all have the new impellers on them now.
Okay.
Are there a lot of pumps like that building on Tokenique Road right before the highway that have E1 ejector pumps? Because those are terrible for the wipes on those things. Do not clog those really easy. Sorry.
Yeah, there's a number. Well, there are several sewer extension projects where people have their own personal E1s. So it's good for them to understand if they have their own little personal pump that it is at risk too if you're flushing wipes and gloves and paper towels.
Craig, and I don't know how many you come across during your engineering career, but I usually find within the first year of someone using a pump or being tied in using some type of low pressure force main, they find out very quickly what they can and cannot flush down the toilet.
That does seem, it is forced learning. And yes, I have encountered the necessity for forced learning. Maybe that's worth a line or two in the letter to the editor to remind people that might have their own pump stations.
Are those also called grinders? Is that what a grinder is?
Bob, you want to take that one?
No, a grinder or a comminutor is something that does exactly what it says. These
Okay.
are ejector pumps that can usually be out in the yard, and just they can't handle the solids, whether it's
Okay.
wipes, bags, aquarium gravel. I've seen in them. So I mean, people just really do live by the adage of out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right, we're ready to move to the next item on the agenda?
Yes.
Sounds like a yes.
Yeah.
Okay, before that, I've got our next public service announcement ready to roll. So I'm gonna share the screen again with this guy right here. And hit play. All right. Aren't these fun?
Oh yeah. I mean,
Uh,
to me, and I believe you guys, it's self-evident. But I mean, on top of these wipes, at least in California, there are people, desperate people, were putting down articles of clothing down the toilet to use to clean themselves with. So, wow, I don't know if it needs to be included or not. I'm just throwing it out there.
Yeah, nothing but toilet paper. All right, item 4, fog ordinance review and discussion. Did
Hey,
Wayne ever take a look at this? Yeah.
Darren here. No, I don't think you guys wanted me to go to Wayne just yet. You guys had a number of comments at the
Oh, that's
last
right.
meeting.
Yeah.
And one of the things that we were going to do, but we had time and we got to it before, a couple meetings down the road. If you look at all the yellow highlighted stuff, I highlighted that to get the Darien Department of Health to look at. And it turns out that David Knauf, the Director of Health, was absolutely fine with the language that was in there. And
Okay.
so that's done. The commission had a number of other comments relative to time, and specifically, in general, I'm saying specifically, but you were looking for a 14-day time period in general. So give them 14 days to comply. Why can't they fix it in 2 weeks? And there were certain exceptions that you guys wanted, but those changes are included in there. That was our attempt at that. On page 10 of 11, you can see my email to Mr. Knauf.
Yeah, and then your
and
yellow.
So that's what it is.
So your yellow highlights on really, I'm going to say regulation depending on how you're following along it. This is your attempt to codify our discussion about the varied time elements that were in the original draft. And boy, a lot happens in a month. I'm trying to remember exactly what the heck we were talking about a month ago.
Yeah.
Well, I think one. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I referred to the notes too. My memory is not that great. So I referred to what you guys said and meeting minutes and all of my notes that I took during our last meeting. So thank you.
Yeah, go ahead, Susan. You had something?
Yes. What you brought up at the last meeting on compliance, I think it came about because they used something that was being done for Stanford and they hadn't actually put out a revenue yet. And I had actually hoped to talk to Ed, but then you were on vacation and then the world fell apart. Should everyone be compliant right at this point? Because we have fog regulation, a fog sheet that we sent out.
The timing, as I recall, was if a restaurant were there's a deadline, and any time after that deadline that a restaurant were to open, they must be compliant. And I think a new restaurant is supposed to be compliant right now, or they don't get to open.
Right, so everyone should be compliant. So the only thing we don't want to do is give someone who's currently in violation some loophole to say, well, I have 14 days. If they're already in violation, because everybody should be compliant, then that would be my only concern.
Okay.
Yeah, so I guess
And I
paragraph
don't
one,
know-
go ahead.
And I don't know who those people may be.
So paragraph one now says, every person violating any provision of this article or refusing to comply with any order made hereunder within 14 calendar days, which time shall include self-reporting time, after notice of such order shall be fined in accordance with the following schedule, unless the superintendent of sewers services grants an additional 14 calendar day extension. Great sense. It's a meaty one. And then item one is, unless otherwise provided, any person found to be violating any provision of these regulations shall be served by the superintendent of sewer services, or when there is reason to believe that a health hazard exists, the director of DHD, with a written notice stating the nature of the violation and providing a reasonable time limit not to exceed 14 calendar days for the satisfactory correction thereof. I think that's a great sentence, basically. Like, if we find you to be in violation and we tell you you've got 14 days, that to me is perfectly clear.
Right, you're in section 1213 though. I'm talking about section 12.6.
Oh, okay, let me go back up.
12.6.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. So this is, yeah. So basically, everybody shall comply immediately because they should be compliant already under the state requirements. And then, notwithstanding the previous subsection of what is it? Food. What is it? What does FP stand for? Food preparation
establishment.
Food preparation establishments shall be required to update its compliance with the provisions of this article when any one of the following occur. There is a change in ownership of the FPE facility. The FPE shall comply with all the requirements of this article within 14 calendar days of the change in ownership. So maybe that's just noted.
Really talks about change of ownership and what you need to do
Yeah.
should you have a change of ownership.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that makes sense.
Okay.
And then it goes. Well, that's A. A is change of ownership, right? So then, or B is a renovation. C is an area or areas. Basically, we find a problem, and that's happened before, where we found a grease clog, and we've gone upstream to an FPE and found a problem with their fog and asked them to remedy. So I think that's important too, because maybe they had just cleaned it out a week before, so they're already doing it once a month, but for whatever reason they had a big event and it's full again. So I think that makes sense.
That was the only thing I had. I thought it looked really good.
Yeah, what do you think, Darren and Ed? Are you happy with where the language is?
Darren here. Yeah, obviously, would have to go to town council. And at the end, you could see in the light orange, we included some fees from other places.
Okay.
So for your consideration, obviously you could change that, but if we refer to that, we're going to have to make sure that it's in good working order.
So the annual fog fee is simply in order to be registered, you pay an annual fee. Here's a number.
Yes. And then in Norwalk, they do it by high-strength surcharge fee. We don't have the wherewithal to do that. Commissioner Hill said that it should be tested when it's by a competent person in the business. That makes sense. And also during peak flow, during the last minute, you might remember that he said that, and that makes sense. The way Norwalk does it is they actually just show up at your restaurant, open a clean out on the sidewalk, take a sample, have it tested. We don't have a body and a budget to dedicate to that, but we certainly could impose fines or spot check and do spot testing and find somebody if they're found to be not in compliance or they're over the limits, their fog for whatever reason isn't working.
So I guess the idea on fees, I mean, managing FPEs and confirming fog compliance is an added cost. And I think it is reasonable to charge an extra fee for that added cost. Now that I said that out loud, these facilities generally use more water as well, so they're probably paying extra fees to begin with. So on the one hand, we could do something simple like $100, which is more designed like the fee to stay on the parking list, right? It just kind of validates the process. Or we could do something larger to cover the unique costs associated with administering and monitoring fog maintenance.
Well, let's. How many restaurants total are we talking about? So what would be the run the $100 through the X number of restaurants?
Let's say let's say it's 20 or 30, you know, and so it's $2,000 or $3,000. I mean, that's not at all.
I think the number's in the hundreds.
Oh, really?
There you go.
Yeah, it surprised me. I remember it was like 200 and something because I couldn't believe how high that number was. I just driving around here for the last 20 years, I can't remember 20 restaurants. I mean, 200 restaurants.
It's all it's clubs and schools and anyone with common kitchen facilities, right?
Yeah, schools. That's another one. Strip malls,
grocery stores,
grocery stores with class 3 capability.
100. Wow. All right.
So Craig, let's just put this to rest. If you think $100 is fair, I'm on board with that. Let's just go with that. If it needs to be raised later, raise it.
Yeah, I guess as we're first instituting it. Well, the other thing is, actually, this was something. I don't know if it's on the agenda. I didn't look, but we also know that many of our restaurants are going to be struggling. So to throw a fee out there right now is probably not
bad optics.
Yeah. So I agree. Let's go lower than higher and just kind of set a level to allow for the registration of everybody.
Or maybe we just get this going first, Craig, and then 6 months from now look at it.
Yeah, that's another idea.
Acknowledging the current situation.
Acknowledging the current situation. We've chosen intentionally not to set a fee at this time. And now that said, this is a set of regulations that we're going to be passing. So altering the fee in the future. Now, is there a way, instead of putting it in the regulation, can we put it in the way we assess fees each year and we evaluate whether or not the sewer user fee needs to go up? Can we put it in that same location? So it's a part of that discussion annually?
Hey, Craig, how about language or a section that says the yearly fee will be, and then we can make it 0, and then it can be changed on a basis like we do the fees
Okay,
for sewer.
that's fine.
I love that.
Yeah, let's do
Yeah.
that for now. I agree.
Yeah, actually, that's what you guys asked for.
Oh, I'm glad we came to the same answer a month later and none of us remembered.
Well,
I don't know how I feel about that.
no, you guys said your question was, can we do that? And in August, Ed has to give you some preliminary rates, and then by September you have to hold a public hearing. And you guys said, can you put it there?
Okay, so for now it's going to be 0, and otherwise, I think we're ready to send this to Wayne. All those in favor of sending this to Wayne?
Wait, can I just interrupt for 1 second?
Yeah, go ahead.
Can I interrupt for 1 second? I just want to clarify something that was said earlier. Town council has seen this.
Oh, they have, that's right.
They have seen this, but when it came back to the commission wanted to massage it a little, and that's what you have done, and that's what you're doing now. And you told us in the last meeting, don't go back to town council yet. Let's talk about fees and let's talk about all these things. So just so you know, this has been to town council, and the first rough estimate, I forget, January or February when we presented it to you, he did have a look at that.
Okay, that makes me feel better.
I had one other question. Did David Knopf say that some of the regulations that he would flow through were going to be changed soon or could be changed?
He said that the DEEP is in the process of changing the classification of a Class 2 restaurant, and everybody is fully expecting that the Class 2 will now be, or in the future will be, under FOG will apply to the Class 2 also. Right now it's threes and fours, but they're working in Class 2s so that they will also be included in FOG. Right now it hasn't happened. Everybody expects that it will, but it hasn't happened yet.
Got it. So nothing we would be voting on would be changing later.
Well, no, it was the number of establishments, because if you read his email, it says that most Class 2, but not all, would be subject to FOG regulations. That's quoting his email that Darren included.
Well, thank you, because I didn't remember that part of the email. I could tell you that there's another part in regulations, just to let you guys know, it's going to be us deciding this. We're pretty much on our own. I can tell you that Anthony in our office here and I have already had to go through and review a menu of a restaurant.
Oh my God.
Yeah, no, I'm not an expert at this, and the restaurant that we're talking about just happened to be a vegan restaurant. And I didn't realize why we were even talking about it. And then if you look at the regulations closely, it says, well, they serve dairy products. I don't know of any dairy product that ever clogged up a sewer. But these are the kinds of decisions that are going to be foisted upon our department, just so you know.
Now,
when I say our department,
the existing,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
The existing restaurants that would be now coming into that are compliance. Are they non-compliant now with grease traps?
I don't know if there's any Class 2s out there that would be non-compliant. I don't know. And I would say right now that right now, if there's a Class 2 out there, we're not considering them to need to be FOG compliant, because that hasn't happened yet.
Okay.
But one of the restaurants we did look at, the one I was telling you about, the vegan one, and we looked at it, and there was no grill, there was no animal proteins being cooked. It was just dairy products, and sure, there's some fat involved with some dairy products, but the way the language is actually written, we, the Department of Public Works, is going to be making that determination. The health department might help us in determining whether a restaurant is a class 2, 3, or 4, but they're going to look to us to review the menu, and that's already started.
Are they going to need more than 15 days to be compliant, though, once this goes into effect, if they're now suddenly included?
That I don't know. We'll talk to you guys about that as those issues come up. But the newer restaurants, yeah, they're going to be compliant right away, or they're not going to open.
Got it.
Well, yeah, but class 2 are not restaurants. I mean, I'm reading the definition right now, and class 2, it's not a restaurant. Seems like it's more like almost a convenience store type thing.
FPE.
Excuse me? Oh, I'm
FP. If it's a food preparation establishment, we look at it.
That's not the classes that Mr. Knopf was speaking of? The classes are the ones in the definition, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
I think so, yes.
Yeah, well, but if you go to class 2, it says class 2 is a food service establishment using cold or ready-to-eat commercially processed food requiring no further heat treatment and or hot or cold beverages, no cooking, heating, or hot holding of potentially hazardous food is included, except that commercially packaged pre-cooked foods may be heated and served in the original package within 4 hours, and commercially pre-cooked hot dogs, kielbasa, and soup may be heated if transferred directly out of the original package and served within 4 hours. So it doesn't sound like a restaurant. It sounds like
more like a gas station.
Yes.
Yeah, I'd agree. But that's the kind of thing that we're going to be called upon to look at and make a determination.
No, but what I'm saying is the odds are they don't have a grease trap in these establishments right now. They're upping the ante. They're making the regulations more stiff or, more stringent.
Totally agree.
So, yes, they may need to be in compliance within 14 days, but they're going to have, pre-notice of that date. So, in essence, it'll be more than 14 days of time for them to get up to speed.
Maybe
Makes
those notes
sense.
need to go out soon.
Well, it's going to take a while for us to have this final draft and schedule a public hearing, and when are we going to have a public hearing and how are we going to have it?
Well, and those are state regs that haven't been changed yet. Mr. Knopf is just
Yeah, we can't wait. Exactly.
that they're going to be.
Yeah, we can't wait. I don't want to wait for that. I don't want to set our timeline to that one.
I mean, do we have a list of these establishments so we can kind of see what
But my sense is like
moving over?
80+% of the time, this is going to be like a super easy call, right? And a few times it's going to be like, well, what does vegan mean? And it's no animal fats, but it's olive oil, and what does that do? And do we care? And so there'll be a few that we're going to spend a lot of time on, but my sense is the vast majority are going to be easy to decide. I don't know how you feel about that, Darren.
I agree. And I'd like to apologize for interrupting your motion. You were about to send me to John Wayne Fox.
Do we have a motion to finalize the fog ordinance and have town council do one final review before we decide it's in a form ready to schedule a public hearing, and then we'll figure out that at the right time?
I'll make that motion.
Okay. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Do I have any further discussion on the motion to prepare a final form of the fog ordinance and send it for one last look-see to John Wayne Fox? All those in favor? Aye.
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 It sounded like 4-0. Moving on. All right. So I'm sorry, but we're going to do another public service announcements to drive this home. I know you're liking all these. This one's 46 seconds long, just to give you a heads up. Let's see.
Well, I was worried we would lose the audience, Craig, but you've done a very good job interjecting with these public service announcements to hold the audience active.
Yeah, you know, I figure if they're clicking by channel 79, they'll have a better chance. So here we go. No wipes in the pipes.
Please don't flush your cleaning wipes down the toilet. That's the message from the Western Virginia Water Authority. We understand that a lot of us are using the wipes to clean surfaces in our homes and businesses, especially right now. But the wipes can cause a lot of problems. Take a look at this video. They doing a demonstration here, and as you can see, wipes do not break down in the sewer collection systems. Wipes can stretch, get tangled with other wipes, and create blockages that lead to sewer backups. But as we show you here with toilet paper, a much different reaction there. It breaks down much more quickly. They're asking everyone to throw away wipes in the trash can and don't throw them down the pipes.
All right, here we go. Getting the message out there. There's only one more after this, so you're forewarned. Back to the agenda. Next one, we've got item 5, connection fees, ordinance review and discussion. I was just looking through that. I think it was starting to look really good. I am focused on the table and the text on page 21 and 22 of the PDF, otherwise labeled, I guess, 4 of 18 and 5 of 18 in the packet.
4 and 5.
So I'm looking at table 9. I think the cell, the residential cell should be single family residential. So that's clear in the first row. I don't feel like, so for residential buildings and additions, I think it should be, the fee should not necessarily, for residential, I don't think the fee should be related to floor area. I think the fee should be related to the addition of dwelling units, right? So if it's the addition of apartments to an apartment building, you got to continue to pay another $500. If for some reason another dwelling unit is added on a single family residential property, which happens from time to time.
Subdivision.
Yeah, subdivision or certain variances or, you know, situations, then I think that fee should apply. So I think the third row should be related, again, to the addition of dwelling units, not to the addition of space.
Well, wouldn't that be captured in new dwelling unit?
Yeah, exactly. I think you might only need 1 or 2, right? If you're adding a single family residence or you're adding an apartment.
I would say strike that number 3, whatever it was, the adding square footage.
Just get rid of residential building additions. I agree.
Yep, absolutely.
And then as far as the fees for commercial floor area, you know, I felt they were, it's really hard to judge, you know, because you know, you could have a warehouse, like you could have the storage facility type use, huge building, probably like no water use, right? Or you could have someone that puts up, you know, a 1,500 square foot restaurant and have a bunch of water use or a car wash, right?
Point.
So I wasn't, although it's a super simple way to do it, and this could align with what we asked you to do. I'm worried that it doesn't relate to water use.
I'd be wary of even going there, and especially now with economics where they are, and you're really only worried about the first year, capturing the first year that you don't get the usage based on the billing. I think for the residential units, both single family and apartments, it's pretty easy in condos. Check that box, you get the first year with the fee, pretty much, maybe even a bonus. But trying to figure out what's going in the space and how it functions with the fee,
so there's a different way to do it, right? So this is new construction. It's not you know, any existing facility or property or anyone that already has a connection permit.
A use, right.
So the way that other towns solve this problem and the way Norwalk solved this problem is the connection fee is based on your water service size, right?
Yep.
The larger your water service, the assumption is the more fixture units you have in the building, which requires the larger water service, which means it's
Well, it could also be the fire suppression system, Craig.
Well, you can back that out. So Norwalk, for example, allows you to back out the fire service and just count the size of your domestic line. So I would be for a system that was based on the size of a domestic water service connection. I think that's fair because the code requires you to go through that calculation anyway. Darren, any thoughts? Do you want to take another stab at table 9?
Sure. I have one question. I want to make sure I understood what you said first. The first line, residential, you want single family.
Yes.
The third one down, building addition to dwelling units, right?
Actually, just get rid of it.
Strike it.
Just get rid of all that. The residential building additions, just get rid of that entire row.
No additional square footage charge, no extra bathroom, no extra bedroom.
Yeah.
It's only new units, whether it's a condo or a house.
Yep, I agree.
Okay.
Subdivision, for instance, or.
Okay, I know that there's not many multifamily houses, but would you do that under apartment? Like if it was a 3-family house, it would be $1,500.
Yeah. And if they added the fourth one, then you charge them another $500.
Okay. And let's see. And then you jumped to meter size. So you're right about Norwalk, and one of the things that I've seen them do is if, for example, you take a building down and then you put a new building up, they look at that domestic water service and they charge you. It doesn't matter what was there. And if you don't like it, you can come back and appeal it and say, look, it was a 6-inch line and it's an 8-inch line, so charge me the difference. That's the way they approach things like that, and that's the kind of appeals that they've seen. But in your particular case, we have 2 different methods. Is there a preference? Do you like the water meter size better, or do you like the flat fees?
For residential,
do both?
Yeah, for residential, I am super comfortable with a flat fee.
Okay.
Per unit.
Yeah, so it's really for non-residential that I think we ought to move to a system that better estimates the likely water use, and that would be the water service size.
Got it. And that would cover your warehouse versus the restaurant.
Yep.
Got it. Thank you. Yeah, I can take another shot at this. Happy to do it. And in the last meeting, you instructed us to not go to town council yet. And I'm hearing the same thing again. Come back to you with a revised table, massage it a little. Don't go to town council on this one yet.
I don't know. I mean, in terms of all the rest of the language, I would be comfortable having them review all the rest of the language. They don't really need to weigh in on fees as long as we're not getting ahead of ourselves.
Okay.
I just want to throw one more concept out there. We're differentiating between a condo and an apartment and a single-family house in terms of the fee structure. Why shouldn't they be the same? I mean, who says we may see some $2 million condos coming online with the downtown project?
Yeah, and would you call something like
somebody build a $500,000 house? So what's the difference? What's the thought there?
So Kensett, to your point, Reese, Kensett has 4 and 5 bedroom townhome condominiums.
Yep.
You know that they're going to use the same amount of water as a single family house.
I mean, you can condominium your house if there's like there's Rings End Bridge. There were 2 homes there, antique homes, and Wilder condoed it.
I guess to me the term condominium, I don't in my mind we're not talking about a common interest community. So maybe we get rid of the term condominium. You know, to me,
dwelling unit, just have dwelling unit, including condominium and single family home.
I mean, I do appreciate that if you have an apartment building with 1 and 2 bedroom apartments, that it's likely to use less water on a per unit basis than a single family residence. So, but I also don't need, how many more, I don't need to go crazy on.
Well, you remember the Mead house that David built. I think you worked on that, Craig. Those are 3-bedroom, aren't they?
Yeah,
so
I mean,
I think the market's saying it wants larger condominiums. I don't think we're going to have the
how about this? What if we say 3+ bedroom dwelling units, $1,000 per connection, and 1 or 2 bedroom dwelling units, $500 per connection.
I like that.
Okay.
Yep.
You got that, Darren?
I get it. Yep.
3+ bedrooms, 1,000 and what?
And so basically we're going to call both dwelling units, whether it's an apartment or it's a condo or it's a house, it's a dwelling unit. And so a 3 or more bedroom dwelling unit, the fee would be $1,000. And then less than a 3-bedroom dwelling unit, whether it be 1, 2, or studio, would be $500.
Yep.
Got it.
That's a nice way to do it, Craig, because then you're not distinguishing. Somebody could build a 2-bedroom house. It's possible.
Yeah.
Yep.
I got it.
So I was just saying that I think I would be comfortable with having town council review it at this point. The only thing we're going to wiggle, it sounds like, is the commercial connection fees. So I don't think that's going to relate to the attorney's review.
Would you like a motion, Craig?
Sure.
I'll make a motion. We move that to town council to review.
In a second.
I'll second it.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right, that sounds like 4-0. As promised, we're moving on the agenda, and I have one more, our final public service announcement for the agenda, after which, you won't have to participate.
Where did you find all these? It's amazing.
There's more, but this guy's colorful, so it's 1:48, it's a little longer, but he's got a colorful way of talking about it.
Let me do that.
Pee, poop, and paper. That's it. Nothing but human waste and toilet paper down the toilet.
But as you can see from these photos from St. Pete Water Resources, people are flushing a lot more than that.
With the shortage of toilet paper that we're seeing a lot of things that are not designed to go down the toilet being flushed.
Like rags, cleaning wipes, even latex gloves, and who knows what else.
It seems like people are cleaning their entire bathrooms and just flushing everything down the drain.
Now, those wipes that are marketed as flushable, water resource workers say they are anything but. I tested a popular brand of wipes as well as some toilet paper, and after 30 minutes, the toilet paper had dissolved while the wipes were still intact.
They do not disperse in the sewer system. They stay as a mat of paper, and a lot of them have plastic in them. And that just doesn't break down. It doesn't disperse, and it gets mixed in with grease and oil and creates fatbergs that clog up your pipes and city pipes and cause overflows and backups in homes, and really have a negative impact on our infrastructure and our environment.
St. Pete is already struggling with aging sewer systems and had huge problems with raw sewage leaks in the past. So, one more time for the people in the back.
Protect your home, protect your pocketbook. Don't put anything down the toilet except pee, poop, and paper. Nothing but human waste and toilet paper, please.
There you go. I hope you enjoyed all the public service announcements today.
I think it should be part of every meeting, Craig.
These are great, right? I can't wait to, that's kind of a sad statement. I was going to be like, you used to walk through the lobby at Town Hall and see things playing on Channel 79 and the monitor there. I can't wait till we walk through there and you see the public service announcements playing. All right, item number 6 on our agenda is the superintendent's report. That's you, Ed.
That would definitely be me. Except that I thought Darren was going to take the first one, so I'll.
You want me to?
No, that's okay. Thanks for leaving.
I'll just say what you said.
He's been doing the heavy lifting so far. You got to come in at some point here.
I do, but I've been enjoying the public service announcements, and I believe I saw that last guy down in Nearwater Pump Station once or twice. Currently, what we've done with the sewer, so you guys understand, we've gone down to a skeleton crew, if you will. We have 3 guys, now we're down to 2 each day, and we're rotating them out on a weekly basis. We are, of course, checking our pump stations as we regularly do, trying to keep up on our call before you digs, because they're still coming in for emergencies, and I think the guys have been doing a great job. As far as jetting goes, we shouldn't be doing any of that unless it is an absolute emergency. The guys have asked about that type of procedure. We did talk to them, and I did speak to Tony Campanello about, the process, what we should be doing, how much safer we should be when we're doing such activity in the sewer. So I know I sent him some information. I know he spoke to the guys about it too. But the guys have been great. They've shown up every day, and that's, and fortunately we've been pretty healthy too. So knock on wood, and we'll keep doing what we're doing, and hopefully this will end soon. The second one, unless you guys have some questions, stop me if you do. The I&I study CMOM meeting, right now we are on hold with that part of the process with Arcadis, but we are now currently taking meter readings. They started it the week of March 30th. They did come that week and do a quick maintenance on the flow meters. And right now we're collecting data. So not that you want to, but a couple good rainstorms would be nice right now. So we get some good data and apply it to our capital program, direction of our capital program.
All right, we will work on our rain dances.
Please. Darren, Seagate Pump Station upgrade, please.
Okay. There is no date on the excavation. Anthony Campanella has been speaking to our guy that we have on board, ready to start digging. His company is still shut down for now because of the current situation. We reported last week that the easements are all in and the cabinet has also been delivered. Since then, I found out that the cabinet being delivered means that all of the equipment inside the cabinet has been installed and constructed by Fleet Pump. So I originally thought it was just the box that we were waiting to be manufactured, but no, that's ready to go. That's going to be plug and play when we finally get the green light to go in there. There's been no movement from Eversource Energy and no movement from our side either with our contractor, but we're hopeful that the ball will get rolling soon.
All right, Darren, you take the sump pump letter.
Sump pump letter, as we can do that right now if we had a list of realtors. That's something that we've been talking about. We did do the home inspection contractors in Fairfield County. Even heard back from more than a few of them. They're happy to pass that along to their clients. And it was Commissioner Hutchinson who had the idea to reach out to the Board of Realtors. Commissioner Hutchinson and I had a conference call with the president of that board, but we still don't have a list. If we had a list of names and addresses and emails, we could do that anytime.
I think, Darren, we should probably wait on that until this settles down a bit. No one's going to take new information in at this point in that field in any meaningful way.
Okay. This time. Got it. You want me to keep going?
No, I got this one. Nearwater Pump Station tanks, as reported previously, all the openings at the top have been closed off. One of the full tanks and half of the other one had been pumped down. That is just before the virus hit, so we haven't done much else over with those tanks, but we've been monitoring the level of the water to see if it rises, to see if we had any holes in the tanks, see if they're impacted by the groundwater or not. And I don't have that information for you right now, but soon as I get the guys back to full force, we're going to pump those things down again and see what happens. Unless you guys have some objection to doing that.
No, well, I mean, it's now it's been that way how long? I think there's more important things on the radar.
Okay, thank you. Darren, Center Street?
Center Street. We reported last time that this was done, and we had promised to do a show and tell. Unfortunately, I can't. I don't have a video camera. In a future meeting, I'll bring a chunk of the liner in so you could actually see it. The chunk of the liner was taken out of the sewer collection system prior to the current pandemic, so it should be safe, but I can't show it to you right now. We got their bill and we didn't pay it. Want me to keep going?
Sure, you got these last two.
Okay, Hoyt Street TV and Clean. We got them to come back and complete the last few sections of work. We reviewed their tapes. We found a couple of laterals that may or may not be running. There's water coming out of them in the middle of the day, and it could be that a toilet was flushed and it just, the water spread out and it ran for a little while, or it could be clean water related to a sump pump. So there's a few spots that we are going to look at more. In addition to that, we did look at the evidence of grease in the line, and we did find evidence of grease in the line, and everything is downstream of the country club. So it doesn't mean that it was them, but it seems like
Logical choice.
there's nothing north of the country club. We didn't find any evidence north of the country club. So all of our information leads us to believe that they're doing everything that they should be. So we're going to have to look into that a little bit further and find out if we could do better there somehow.
Darren, what was the total length? Was it over 6,000 feet?
It was close to 6,700 feet from the intersection of Greenwood to Behringer.
Thank you.
1 mile
Sure.
down.
1 mile. Yeah.
1 mile
Seven
down.
more to go.
7 more to go.
Unfortunately, it's not in the Stony Brook watershed, as Craig asked earlier offline. But collection system is a collection system, and any problem we can avoid. This all came about because there was an issue, and we looked right into it and comprehensively. We found some stuff that'll give us something else to look at.
Excellent. Thank you.
And I'll have something further, a map to show you in the future when we finally get back together, which will show you where we found evidence of grease. It's interesting to take a 10,000-foot view of it rather than looking at the joints of the sewer. Okay, sewer user fee calculation. Oh, classifications. I'm sorry.
Yeah, these were the commercial, residential, or is this the multi?
Yes, thank you. I was trying to recall why I put that on there. I have spent quite a bit of time since we've had time here. The office has been kind of quiet, looking at the multiples and the flats and all the different classifications of user fees. What we're finding is that it appears that I'm not even halfway through, but it appears that there's only a few in the multiple account section that probably should be looked at and maybe taken off of multiple. What we're doing is we're looking at the aerial photographs from the town geo database and looking at, well, you have a single parcel, Aquarian's reporting 2 meters. Are there 2 structures? Well, there's a lot of single structures that have more than 1 water service. The building we're sitting in is 1. The town hall has at least 2 water services, yet it's a single structure. And there are other places where there are 2 structures on a property, and there's 2 meters, and that makes sense. But it looks like so far there's only a couple that are questionable. And again, I'm only halfway through, but it looks like we are capturing the water usage from these multiples. They do show up in the section of the sewer billing book that bases the bill on water usage. The commercials are being billed commercially, residential, and the meters are being added up. So I'm not really finding any reason we can get rid of a lot of these. It would be nice if we had, the less classifications we had, the less confusing it would be. But the people who are listed in the multiple account are also showing up in the sewer user fee based on water usage section. So they're not being missed. They're just showing up in 2 different sections in the book.
So I guess
hopefully we'll have something.
Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say, hopefully I'll, if we keep having some time here, I can keep working our way through that and have something to present to you at a future meeting.
Okay, thank you for the update. I'm going to bump back quickly to 6F because I'm going to do another screen share. We have a great before and after shot of the Center Street sewer that we can put up on the screen here. There you go. At the top of the screen, you've got the Center Street sewer before, and at the bottom, you've got it after the liner goes in.
Thank you for that.
That was nice. Okay. Before we go into executive session, which is going to be a very quick update anyway, obviously I'm going to stop the recording at that point, but I would like to entertain new business, I guess. So you got me, Bob. This will be recorded forever. Related to a request we got relative to the sewer user fees that are due now, specifically from a restaurant. So I have a motion to go into new business.
I'll move it.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Call that 4-0. We're in new business. So we got a request came into Darren by email or phone call, I'm not sure which, from a restaurant that said, taxes were, you don't have to pay your estimated tax payments or your last year's tax payments until July 15th instead of April 15th. So do we need to pay our sewer user fees now? Can we wait until July 15th? Obviously, restaurants are significantly impacted by the executive order. They were the first were forced to close, and they're probably going to be the last to open. And so the legal answer was apparently from the town administrator was we don't have the authority to waive interest fees, which is effectively what it would be. It would be you'd waive any interest fees for them choosing to pay the sewer user fee later. But I wanted to bring it up only because I thought it was a good question. And if we had the authority to, I would be willing to do that and provide some relief to these businesses in terms of when they can pay their bills. But anyway, I just wanted to bring it up. I don't know if there's any action we can take at this point until we hear back from Kate. Ed or Darren, do you have any further comment?
I would say thanks for bringing that up. I forgot to include that in the agenda. We did discuss that. So thanks.
Reese, you were saying?
And
Yeah,
Craig,
Craig, I'm completely on board. We could do it as an appeal, couldn't we? If they appealed, we could waive the interest.
I mean, yeah, I mean, and of course, taking appeals at this point is difficult because I don't know the format for being able to do that. But I thought that we had the authority to handle our billing. I thought that we would have the authority as the sewer commission to be able to make that choice independently.
Well, if you're willing to make that claim, we could just do it. And if we get in trouble, we get in trouble. Right.
Or just defer it and take up the interest another time.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, the reality, unfortunately, is that it's due now, right? Or isn't that the choice?
Yes, April 1st.
So we don't have time. If it's not here in 30 days, it's overdue.
So, Craig, you had asked if there were any other things. I think there's a couple things that when I spoke to Kate about this, the one thing that she brought up, and I don't know if you had mentioned it just now, was the consideration for waiving that interest would be for restaurants that had to close.
Yep.
In particularly the ones that are staying open and serving food still. She didn't believe that would be a good place to start your interest waiving, and that would be something for you folks to discuss. But I don't think it would hurt to maybe ask our town council if this is something that we can do before we beg for forgiveness, if you will.
Craig, do you want a motion to ask town council to opine on this and force closure?
Yeah, I do, but I want to go one step farther than that because it's going to be another 30 days before we're all meeting again.
Yep.
So I want Darren and Ed to have the ability to institute something immediately if town council feels as though we have the authority.
Even better.
So perhaps the motion would sound something like have town council determine whether or not the sewer commission can authorize a 90-day grace period for a COVID-affected FPEs who were forced to close and had to close and did close from paying their sewer bills, right? Did I say that in a way that made sense? Does someone else want to go?
Yeah, that makes sense. Yep, I'll make that motion.
Darren or Ed, do you have any questions about the motion?
No, I think it was good.
But I have a question for, there's I think it's 4, it might be 3 other establishments that had to be closed that also I think are due bills April 1st, and those are car washes.
Gyms, car washes.
Yeah.
So why just restaurants? Why not any building ordered to close?
Yep. Unable to function.
Yeah, I don't think it's fair to just eliminate those other ones.
Yep. I agree. I think that's a good point. So thankfully we have some cash in the bank, so cash flow shouldn't be a problem. So allowing this 90-day grace period for our small businesses in town that are taking the brunt of the economic impact, I think it makes sense to do something. So then I guess there's a motion on the floor to the extent determined by the town attorney that we have the authority to enact this motion. The motion would be to allow small businesses closed and forced to close by the governor's executive order to have a 90-day grace period on the payment of their sewer user fees.
Can I just chime in for 1 second, please?
Yes.
I'm so sorry to belabor the point. The particular restaurant that did call us is closed and was forced to close, but is still doing a takeout business and operates a butcher shop. So they're selling meat and doing takeout business. I just asked for that clarification because you're going to ask staff to go ahead without you.
And it's a good point. This is a large establishment, right? So on the one hand, there are some smaller establishments continuing to run takeout, where you could say, effectively they're still in business and they can pay their bills. This particular establishment clearly is losing a significant portion of their income by not having the ability to have people on site. The question is, do we bother with that? If they had to adjust their business so much that they can't have in-person, boy, they get in the gray area here. Yeah, you're right.
But it's only really the interest we're worried about, 90 days interest. It's
Yes.
It's almost like an interest-free loan. It's
Yes.
not going to be a huge number.
And so we could be more permissive versus less permissive.
Yeah.
And it's not like we're waiving the bill or we're waiving the amount.
Right.
We're just saying you got another few months to pay it.
Yep. Exactly.
Yes.
So I think,
So
yeah, if it was covered in the executive order. Yeah, Bob?
Well, yeah, but it being all inclusive, I don't think costs us much, and I think I think it's in good faith that we're doing it. So I would be all in favor of including restaurants that are still open and serving the public. They are doing a great service by staying open. So we should reward them, not punish them.
It's a kind way to look at it. I couldn't agree more.
I agree, totally. I agree totally with Bob.
Okay.
Small thing we can do to
It's
help.
being recorded, so that I hear that.
All right. So the answer is any business ordered to suspend in-person service due to a executive order from the state of Connecticut would have the ability to put a 90-day pause button on the payment of their sewer user fees. So can I get a motion first?
I'll make that motion.
Reese makes the motion. Bob will second the motion. Any further discussion on the motion? So pending town council occurrence, the vote is aye.
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 All right, unanimous 4-0. Any questions, Ed or Darren?
No,
No, I'm good.
thank you.
So, all right. So the next agenda item is executive session. So I'm going to stop the recording here. Say goodbye to everybody on channel 79.